Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Centipede Horror, a Hong Kong horror movie from 1982. What should have been the seal of protection turns into a gateway for hordes of flesh-eating centipedes, when Y gives a mysterious family necklace to his sister to keep her safe while traveling in Southeast Asia. By chance, this very heirloom catches the eye of a malicious street food peddler who targets the family with all of the fury in his soul. So the movie opens with images of creepy, crawly centipedes who are inching their way across different surfaces. This is emphasized with multiple freeze frames of these little critters. And we do get some actual centipede attacks in the movie, of course. There's one pretty early on, but the deadly nature of these attacks are exaggerated for cinematic purposes, and thematically speaking, it does make sense because there's some black magic going on, which enhances the deadly nature of these nasty little buggers. And I will say, however, that the death scenes are on the basic side. You know, if you're thinking about how centipedes would attack people, it's kind of what you're thinking. For the purposes of comparison, nothing in Centipede Horror is quite as awesome as the spider attack in the Lucille Fulci movie, The Beyond. And if you've seen The Beyond, you know that spider attack was pretty nuts. It doesn't get quite that crazy in this one. However, there is some good stuff here. The victims look like they're suffering from Ebola or something, and when they die, centipedes emerge from lesions in their bodies. So it's good enough. And as you might expect from a Hong Kong horror movie from the 1980s, there's a good amount of spell casting and wizardry to supplement the centipede attacks, which is pretty cool. It gives these movies a distinct flavor. There are multiple wizard duels, a few of which involve animals and even undead animals. My biggest problem with this movie, though, is the pacing. This does have some slow patches in it. The opening half especially does move pretty slow. You get the family investigation of what could have led to this curse and the vendetta against them. A lot of scenes of people just kind of sitting around having conversations. It's not bad, because the premise is kind of interesting in and of itself, but it's not exactly thrilling, in its storytelling. The occult element does help to get you through those moments, the slower moments, but the pacing does limit Centipede Horror from becoming like a true classic of pure entertainment. This cannot compete with something like The Boxer's Omen, which is just an all-time classic. The most important thing, though, that I learned from this movie is that centipede ointment cures everything and always works. And when you see the movie, you'll know what I mean by that. So ultimately, I moderately recommend Centipede Horror. For those of you who want like an old-school Hong Kong interpretation of an animal attack movie involving centipedes that also has a healthy dose of black magic. And there is some animal slaughter in these movies, right? These kinds of movies. And there is some in this, like actual animals were harmed in making this. But in my opinion, it's really not that bad in this particular case. Mostly like centipedes and a few chickens, you know what I mean? So it's really not that bad. In fact, the recent all-region Blu-ray release from Error 4444, which is the way they get this, has an animal cruelty version on the Blu-ray. So you can watch the uncut version or the animal cruelty free cut. And if you look at the run times between the two cuts, they're very similar, like less than 1 minute of runtime difference. So there's really not a whole lot of stuff here that's going to offend people, I don't think. So it's a pretty safe play, I think, if you're going to delve into this kind of film. So yeah, I moderately recommend this. And as always, folks, I'll see you next time.